¿Qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están? El día de hoy tenemos una gran conversación con el equipo de Polimec que recientemente aseguraron su lugar como parachain de Polkadot, la parachain número 51. Además de esto, bueno, hicieron una alianza con Deloitte. Vamos a hablar de esto y más. Hi guys, how are you? Thanks for coming. Today we're going to talk about all that has been happening in Polimec. We have the team right here. How are you guys? Thanks for the time.
Paul.
Hey,
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, that's great. That's great to have all three of you. I wanted to maybe highlight a little bit that Polimec is a crowdfunding, capital raising platform. And I don't know what else would you like to add, maybe for a little intro for people who don't know what Polimec is.
Go first. Yeah, I can go. Sure. Yeah, you covered the essence of it. So we are a protocol that allows decentralized fundraising. So what we're doing in very simple terms, and for people to be able to have an analogy, it's similar to a launchpad, but we do it fully decentralized on the protocol level and on chain, and in a regulatory compliant manner. So what we do is we want all the benefits of DeFi and all the accessibility of DeFi, but in a regulatory compliant manner.
All right. And you have won recently your parachain slot in the ecosystem. What has been happening behind the scene to achieve this? What can you tell us about the status of the project in general?
Yeah, maybe, obviously number 51. We're quite excited and quite hyped. Obviously for us, it was important to secure the infrastructure for the next 2 years. So we achieved that. It took us a couple attempts, I think, but in the end, it was quite exhilarating. I don't know, the entire process of getting of this auction is very stressful because you're always in the fear that someone outbids you at any time when you're sleeping somewhere, right? So I think that was quite a couple of intense days and weeks, but we were very happy that we secured it. And for us, this basically means that now we have secured infrastructure, which also leads us to our next target, which is go live, right? First of all, go live of some things, and then end of the year, we're going to launch Polimec, yeah? So it's been one of the key major milestones that we had to hit, and we've hit it.
Yeah, I would also add that due to all the current environment or situation and the discussion around parachain slots was quite challenging, and we faced also a lot of questions, good questions from the community on what we're going to do. Is going to be a crowd loan, and we of course assessed all options. Now the main priority was to get, as Claudio said, the infrastructure to have security, the required security in the network. But of course, we're still looking into all the ways that we can make something happen for everyone.
Yeah, it's interesting timing, definitely, with all the evolution planned for Polkadot into the core time sales. And also, it might be looking good for a good time to launch in the market status right now. Seems like things are warming up. But you've been building in the bear market. And I think one thing I wanted to deep dive into is about the partnership you did with Deloitte. How does it work, and maybe what can we expect?
Yeah, maybe I'll give you some insights there. So you have to imagine like that. As we're building Polimec, you know that we always, when you read through the white paper, when you read through our knowledge hub, we always in the past talked about the trusted third-party provider. So we were, as Ken has mentioned, talking about regulatory compliant. We want to be regulatory compliant with Polimec. We were thinking about, who could be this trusted third party, and it's basically, we thought about, who has the reputation. The best you can have is an audit firm who has a really good reputation. So we started talking to Deloitte right from the beginning, and as you can imagine, internal processes of the big four company, especially when it comes to blockchain and crypto. And then market situations were not the best. I think that was a couple of months before the FTX blast off happened. So we started having discussions with them, and we talked about a potential solution, how it could look like from a big picture. And yeah, after a couple of weeks, Deloitte was extremely well and into it. They understood what we need, what we want with the KYC AML solution that we built together. And then basically, after a couple of weeks, we started with them to agree that we explore it if it's feasible. And now, a year later, we are about to go live with the solution. And yeah, it's quite a big thing, and especially when you think about, to give you a little bit of more information on that, is that you will basically create your on-chain KYC credential. And with that, you can basically start to, in the first step, access Polimec. So when you log into the Polimec platform, we know you have been KYC'd by Deloitte, which gives us a lot of trust and certainty that it's not, a dodgy KYC done by a super little provider. I don't need to tell you, there is a lot going on in crypto. We have especially the brand reputation, the trusted factor of Deloitte behind it. But on the other hand, you can think about this KYC credential that, in the long run, hopefully there will be way more services, applications where you can then log into with your Deloitte credential, because the other party that enables you to log in with that KYC credential also has the certainty that the trusted third party, Deloitte, did the KYC. And if anything happens, they can get the information from Deloitte if there is a crime.
I think that's amazing. I see that the enterprises are really staying in crypto. Even with the bear market, I've seen they are stepping slowly but surely. Do you think how will be this evolution about protocols like Polimec that are working closely with regulations in thought? How do you see that future working out? How decentralized can it evolve?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you talk about evolution. I would say the next big step, actually, also, and one of the next trends, also in the next upcoming markets or focus, I would say, is going to be identity attributes in DeFi. So on the DeFi side, you see opinion leaders talking about how to incorporate that into DeFi in a good manner. And on the TradFi side, you see actors and institutionals that want to engage, but they can't if it's not in some way or form not regulated, but there are controls in place, right? So for those traditional and institutional actors to engage in DeFi, you need that. And from the fully DeFi and crypto side, you have also those opinions that push for this. And how we solve this is with the KYC credentials. So as we said, we enable fundraising in a fully decentralized manner. That means why you usually have to go to a launchpad or an intermediary is because of those KYC and AML checks, right? Because you need someone that checks the people and the funds that invest. And we do that for the first time in a decentralized manner with Deloitte, because you only shared your data in the first place with Deloitte. They are a trusted provider, and we don't have that kind of banking grade KYC credentials and KYC in crypto. So you have you only share your data with Deloitte, and at the same time you can access Polimec only by disclosing the data that is required for every project that raises funds, and you share data with them. So you're not going to onboard as a client with Polimec as you would do with centralized providers, but you access it same as DeFi, but in a privacy preserving and regulatory enabling manner.
You could say we're the perfect bridge between TradFi and DeFi, and we basically allow new actors to join the ecosystem that were not able to join before, right? Because obviously you have certain criteria that you need to match in order to be able to enter markets. And for us, we open up the primary market for issuance of tokens, right, for token sale. And I think a lot of players, they always wanted to enter this market, right, because it's from a technological perspective extremely interesting, but also extremely lucrative. But you know, they are missing this trust-based approach from the KYC provider, which we have implemented. And also they definitely see the benefits on the efficiency side, right? So streamlining the entire process. And I think we're going to be able to add a lot of new people into the market, and large players. So I think that's really exciting times for everyone.
And important to add, we're now talking about institutionals because those are the actors that require those kind of checks. But of course, Polimec is community driven and is fully open. So every retail professional individual can also access Polimec at the same level as those actors, and also go through the same process at Deloitte. So it's really that you bring those different type of participants or stakeholders on the same level, and it's not gatekept by central intermediaries that have different terms or treatments depending on how big or what kind of investor you are.
Yeah, I think that's great because first you want to know who's holding your data, right? That picture with your passport or whatever, sometimes they end up leaking. So Deloitte, I think it's a good safe place, one of the safest in the world. And I think, like you mentioned, for institutions, it's really important to obey this AML KYC laws. And I've seen the Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO, talking about how specifically with crypto, they want to know who is in the other side of the trade, who is doing the other side, and they want to be transparent as possible, so that these kinds of hybrid systems, I think at the end it will be very beneficial for market growth, and still having these benefits of the blockchain efficiency. And I think one thing maybe you could highlight for us, because usually in the regular, like mainstream, what we know like a crowdfunding protocol, like these launch pads, sometimes they, like you said, they don't do KYC for investors that could like be in trouble, and also from the side of like the project as well, right? Because I think you guys highlighted right now a lot for like KYC for like the investor side, but I think it's a really good sign that you're also doing this from the people or team raising money, because it gives it a little higher level of security and confidence, I think. What do you think about this? What benefits do you see in this?
You want me to start? So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we are long enough in this market that we've seen a lot of things going on where somebody was raising money, hiding behind, you know, an NFT image, whatever it is. We can remember that from the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
What happens now is that you can still do it this way, but in case, imagine there is a, you know, a criminal activity, a rug pull, whatever there is, Deloitte knows who you are. So in case of any legal actions, you can basically then, in a lawsuit, whatever it is, you would be able to identify who is behind it. Which also should give to all of the investors or participants a lot of certainty and trust.
Mm-hmm. Do you see a future where Polimec works without having to have this on-chain credential, or right now it's fully focused on this?
How many years?
Be more flexible. For example, maybe the project that's trying to raise could choose if they want to KYC all of these people or not. I don't know. Do you see a road down? I mean,
I can quickly start, and I'm sure you can add a lot to it. There is one crucial piece that you really need to consider when you raise funds. That's basically when you're off ramping the funds raised. So let's imagine you're a project that raised 200,000 via Polimec, And after that, you take those funds and you want to bring them to a bank account because you, for example, want to pay salaries, you need to pay rent. And there, I think the crucial piece is, and that's also a benefit of Deloitte, that when you go to the bank, you need to basically show them the KYC standards and AML standards that have been applied. So they know it's not, you know, some, I don't know, money coming from terrorist accounts or whatever there is. So especially when it comes to the fiat off-ramping piece, this is one of the biggest or the biggest benefits for the project issuer when they want to, you know, bring the money to the bank account or to a bank. And there is, I think, also extremely different from country to country what the requirements are. But I guess that's one of the main pieces there for project issuers. Yes, otherwise you have the funds, but if you don't do any KYC, maybe it's possible in some countries, but usually you should face a lot of questions.
Maybe Ken can go into more detail after, but I think also, I'm not sure, it also depends on the size, right? So it depends what kind of tickets are we talking about, but maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah, so I mean, even if it would be possible technically, I would not really recommend it to any project to just raise funds without any KYC in today's environment. However, of course, we on one hand we keep it very flexible for issuers, so issuers can specify either which countries they can accept and all the different parameters for investors. So you have the flexibility there to either exclude more or less participants depending on your risk appetite as a project. But of course, in general, we are, as Polimec, we're a decentralized protocol. So we are starting off now with Deloitte, and we're proud of that. And I think that gives a unique added value in that sense, because you cannot get this set up from an ease of use and a high level of quality in that sense. And then going forward, Polimec will be governed through the governance system. And there, of course, I would suggest everyone to read up on how that is governed and how people can get involved, the token holders or future token holders, if you want to have any hands into the decision making of Polimec in the future.
Yeah, I think also we want to, you know, KYC is not really like, it's not really a sexy topic, and it's not really something people native to what we are really excited about, but we want to change this narrative. Because the way that we implement it is synonymous. So you have the first synonymous form of KYC where you are the one in charge of your data. So you control who can see your data and who are you sharing your data with. So that's already the first step that we're implementing here. And I also believe it's a form of protection for you, for yourself, right? And against others. And I believe, you know, if you're traveling, you're also sharing your passport. You need to show your passport, you need to boarding pass and stuff like that. So I think you're much more exposed there because you share with different parties. If you go online shopping and some stuff, sometimes you need to share your data. And I think the way we implemented this the first time where actually you have control over your data, only Deloitte stores your data, and then you can reuse it, right? I think that's also one of the key points of Polimec is you don't need to redo your KYC for every investment. You do it and then you can reuse it as many times as you like, right? I think that's also takes away the burden of having to do KYC, because we all know it, that you need to get all your documents and you send it and it takes 3 months, whatever. We're really changing that game.
How does it look when, like, is it like at a protocol level, like a governance level, that token holders can choose which KYC credentials are compatible to interact with the protocol? Or maybe how can we see, like, maybe tomorrow Ernest Young wants to offer the same service as Deloitte? Can it just be like, oh, how does it connect with the protocol?
Well, once protocol is launched, the blockchain is live, and we have removed pseudo keys. We are fully decentralized. So in that sense, everything can happen according to the protocol rules for how those governance decisions come into place. But yeah, I mean, we have, of course, we're not restricting this to one player in a way, or we can't, at least once this is the case on the protocol level. And then it's about having the right arguments or reasons, and also providers to make that happen. And then it's a matter of is it feasible or worth doing that in every individual case.
In the end, you should be able to choose, right, who you trust. But it will be a process. Also, obviously, there needs to be work for integration. But hey, why not?
At a technical level, just like really simple, does it look like so Deloitte has their wallet, which like authorizes each other address that they're verified, something like that. So that at protocol level, like there has to be like a allow list that addresses with KYC credentials signed by Polimec's wallet are authorized to interact with.
Yes. Yeah, on the technical level, how it works is, as a user, if you go to Deloitte and go through the KYC process, Deloitte and you perform all the checks, Deloitte issues the KYC credential into your wallet. So this is also the first time Deloitte has actually a product that it sells to end clients and not just to corporates or authorities. And then once you have this KYC credential in your wallet and you access Polimec, and let's say there's a fundraise going on and the project accepts Swiss people, but does not accept people from, let's say, Maldives, for example. Then when you want to invest in that project on a protocol level, it pings is the credential still valid? Because if it is not valid, let's say if a credential holder got sanctioned, Deloitte revokes that credential and then it's invalid. So you don't receive access to the fundraise. And then, of course, it also checks what country is specified and if you are eligible for that specific fundraise. So how that works is that Deloitte issues it directly to you, and if it is invalid or if it has changes, then on a protocol level, we see that, but it's not that we are specifically allow listing for or holding a list as such, but it's really the issuer specifications of the project that determines that.
Okay. And you mentioned that mainnet is approaching. Can you maybe tell us what can we expect when it does launch? Like when could we see like the first like project raising funds, or what functions will users allowed to be using from the protocol at the beginning?
Well, that's the juicy topic, right? Everybody wants to know. So as in our milestones, we've always said it's going to be end of Q3, Q4, right? So it's going to be end of the year that we launch. It will be a gradual launch, right? So it will be a launch period where we go from proof of authority, and then at some point we give over the pseudo keys, we go live, transferability is enabled. And once all those key milestones have been set, then we will be ready for the first fundraise, right? So expect it to be soon around launch. So we have a lot of interested parties that want to raise funds. So that's something that we're moving on. Everyone's very eager to start as soon as possible. So are we. And I think to use, we will for sure have some interesting opportunities for people to check out what it will look like in the future. We will obviously also then give some insights into the UI. And the first thing, you will also be able to stake and everything. But yeah, once projects are live, that's where you can really do the juicy parts, where you can start evaluating, right? And then you have the different procedures. So it will be very efficient process very soon after launch.
Yeah, what we're doing right now, actually, because we're closing in on this date, is onboarding, or at least talking to different projects who might be interested or in need of raising funds, as well as users that are interested in accessing early stage fundraisings. And that's what we're doing right now, and what we're also working once the credentials are live to push those with Deloitte to get as many users on board as possible for the time we launch. So if there's any projects out there, you can reach out to us anytime. And yeah, to add also to Flavio, we will for sure provide some insights or a case where users can see how the UI works, where they can also try or can use their credential in some way or form before the app goes live. So people really know how simple and easy to use this is going to be, and how nice it's going to look on top as well.
It's going to be something that you've never seen before.
Nice. I'm excited. I think this kind of platforms definitely are important infrastructure, and we've seen it every bull market, I think, and I think there's a lot of interest, especially in the bull markets, for this kind of thing. So I hope it's a hit. I think it will be. Can you tell us maybe, is there like, what kind of projects are maybe interested in trying to raise in funds, like already what kind of stage they're in, or what kind of like area, like DeFi gaming? Is there some clues you can give us?
I mean, I see it in gradual stages. So first, I mean, we're called Polimec, that's short for Polkadot liquidity mechanism. So we're at home in the Polkadot ecosystem, also technology-wise. So we'll start off in that ecosystem, and as such, it's going to be core crypto projects, as you would call it. Can't really give insights yet on what specific topic, but if you're aware of the ecosystem and what's going on, you might be able to recognize some of them at least. And then going forward, of course, we hope on as soon as the required solutions are in place to expand to other ecosystems, talk about EVM or WASM interoperability. Then, of course, we have a strategic focus on tapping into those ecosystems and enabling those to access or benefit from Polimec as well. But in a very high level, Polimec is, as I said, decentralized, and you could raise funds for anything that is token based. So you could tokenize anything, and now talk about real world asset tokenization that is picking up some steam. You could essentially tokenize all financial instruments you want. You can issue equity on Polimec, but you just have to make sure, of course, that you follow the regulations that may be different for raising funds in equity rather than in utility tokens. But on a principle level, we're neutral or agnostic to token. So it can be then used in the next step as soon as we have the required regulations and all of that in place. And we see tokenization picking up steam. You can also use Polimec to tokenize anything that you want.
That's really interesting. That so it doesn't have, it can be a security token or utility token.
Exactly.
And it could be like these funds could be raised for something that is not crypto related at some point.
Totally, yeah. That's also, we're not having the focus right now because we see that there still needs to be some improvements in security. Security token markets and infrastructures. However, you won't just issue a token that represents your equity, but you just, as an issuer, the project you need to make sure that you have, for example, minimum information like a prospectus in place, depending on what jurisdiction you raise from, to make sure you comply with security markets law and not law that applies to utility token that might differ depending on jurisdiction. But we're really agnostic and open in that sense.
Nice. I like that. I like that. I wanted to ask you guys, I'm curious, what's participate.polimec.org that you have in your hoodies? Can we use it right now, or what can we expect?
You'll have to find out yourself.
Okay.
Just visit the link.
That's all we can say.
Okay. We like surprises. We like surprises. Can you talk about maybe any partnerships with Polkadot ecosystem projects or outside that we could see that are already made or we could see soon working out at launch?
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the ecosystem, right? So there's a lot of projects that have their own grants programs, right? So they have a lot of dApps building on top of them. And usually those grants are in smaller sizes. So let's say maybe like 30, 50K. But with 30, 50K, you cannot really, launch a company, hire people. So we're looking into that, how we can collaborate with those partners, to function as a fundraising infrastructure on Polkadot, right? So we want really to be able to give access to everyone in the ecosystem to get funding, depending in different stages, right? In the end, it all depends on the interest of the market and what people really want to invest in. But those are some form, I wouldn't say partnerships, but it's still sort of, that's the beauty of the Polkadot ecosystem, right? We can all help each other and together we can grow much quicker. And we see ourselves a bit as as this funding infrastructure, so that if we enable a lot of people to get access to funding, obviously this will be quite beneficial for the entire ecosystem, because it means there's new technology coming, but there's also new communities that are being established. So I think on that front, partnerships is really exciting. On the other hand, we're open for everything, right? Because, if you look at this ecosystem that we're building, this regulatory compliant DeFi ecosystem, we heard the word off-ramping, fiat off-ramping, like partnerships, where you can directly off-ramp your fiat to your bank account, and a lot of other similar integrations that we're obviously looking to use from other providers and not build ourselves, right? So I think that's really something that we're already working on, maybe. I don't know how much.
Yeah, so I mean, from what is already out there, of course, apart from the existing ones that you see on our website, you also mentioned Deloitte, for example. We like to talk to all the ecosystem teams or teams working on interesting things. And just as a way of example, we have regular discussions with Moonbeam or Gear with regards to expanding in other ecosystems. And there's nothing we kind of want to announce at this point in time, because we usually announce it when it's there. But of course, we're very eager to talk to everyone and see how we can help each other, because also that's how all the ecosystem works. Yeah.
How about beyond the Polkadot ecosystem? We have seen recently like many projects create their L2s on top of Ethereum. Do you see Polimec expanding beyond, or maybe in the future, not really in the near plans?
We know expanding for us, what does it mean? It really means that we're able to transfer tokens to other ecosystems, right? So we will always be a Polkadot part chain, and we will always function as a Polkadot part chain. But obviously, with different bridges coming soon, it will, if it's technically viable, it will enable us very soon to be able to bridge into other ecosystems. So as Ken mentioned, EVM obviously be the first ecosystem that we would target. And that also means, the entire fundraise can still happen on Polimec, still on Polkadot, because that's on our chain. And then the main focus where you have it is basically that in the end, when you have the migration to mainnet, that's where you need to have access to different ecosystems. But yeah, I mean, sky's the limit, really. We want to be able to offer our solution to as many people as possible. And for that, we will try to get into different ecosystems.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier also, so I would say it's one of the highest priorities even to enable that. The thing is that we have different developments going on in the Polkadot ecosystem for native solutions to enable that. And then, of course, also on a project level, different ones that are working on the same topic. So we are very eager in working together with them, or as soon as this point in time comes, so we can benefit from that, because it just means that flow of funds between ecosystems can flow efficiently, and we really want to provide as an easy access as possible to Polimec, also for ease of use for user. So they're of course highest priority.
And we're recording this the 23rd of October. Tomorrow is the big unlock. What are your expectations about this as a Polkadot project?
Well, I mean, I don't expect too much to happen, to be honest. I feel like, well, that's my personal opinion, just to say. I don't think there will be too much happening, you know, in this market. If you look at 2 years ago, when a lot of people contributed to crowd loans, when DOT was at like $50, yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I don't think it would be a smart move to do crazy things. I think you made a nice video last week, right? Explaining different options. I think everyone needs to decide for themselves what they want to do. If they want to know to automatically restake, if they maybe want to keep some on the side for different opportunities. Everyone's different, right? But let's see. It's for sure going to be exciting. I think it's crazy that it's already been 2 years.
Yeah.
But for us, obviously, you know, it's also a major milestone because it means that our period will start, right? So I think we will then officially be basically a hard chain, if you want to call it. And so we look at it a bit from a different perspective, that this is not the end, it's just the beginning, right?
I would say also, if something happens, is that many people will want to know what to do with those dots, of course. You provided different ideas already in your last video, and I'm sure you're going to provide some more opportunities, or hopefully soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if then people are in need of tips or useful help on what they could do with those to get them work.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see if governance goes up, like participation, staking levels, and a lot of teams doing a lot of activities. So it will be an active time in the Polkadot ecosystem. So that's good that we can plan ahead of what we'll do. So I don't know if you guys wanted to maybe highlight anything about Polimec, about what can we expect. You had a very large and successful ambassador program. How has that been going on? Maybe can you tell us what countries are active? How have you seen results?
I mean, overall, yeah, I guess our ambassador program is, first of all, phenomenal. So thanks to all of our ambassadors in the first place. I think we are right now somewhere around 20 ambassadors from approximately 40 to 45 countries. And yeah, they're just great. They help us a lot. And I think where we have a hub, especially is our community in South America, especially. They're really active and producing a lot of great content on social media, really creative, outstanding. But I mean, it really depends. You can see they're active everywhere. It's just, the guys from South America are the most active ones, but we are pretty optimistic with that within the next weeks and months, the activity will increase over time. And obviously, we are also open for new ambassadors. So if anybody is interested, I mean, obviously there is some requirements, and you have to pass an onboarding test and show that you understand Polimec. But if there is some serious interest, we are really happy to get those applications, to be in touch with everybody. And I think especially would be great if there's anybody from also Asian countries. Feel free to reach out to us, because we are still really keen to onboard more ambassadors to our program.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think maybe Spanish speakers are like one of the largest communities in the Polkadot ecosystem, and I have seen it a lot in the evolution of this like past 3 years, how it's grown. And yeah, I've seen a lot of presence of Polimec ambassadors in many crypto events, and yeah, it will be interesting to see. Have you seen many activity like from ambassadors or from interest of Europeans? Like I know like Mika, the Mika law already is like pretty clear on like utility token sales and stuff like that. So have you seen maybe like interest from that area of the world?
Yeah, totally. We talk to different stakeholders, also projects that are based in Europe, and of course, it's a change, or people need to read up on what this change means. But we are already now actively also making sure or trying to already incorporate those elements that MiCA requires project issuers to do on a protocol level, to keep it modular and flexible, so that it allows also to foresee those things. But of course, regulations are always backdated. So then on a protocol level, you cannot always foresee all the edge cases or all the upcoming regulations, but we are talking to a lot of experts also in the field from a legal or regulatory side to consider all those different things.
No, I think that's important. I think you're a little bit ahead and future proof of all these laws and upcoming regulations. So that'll be interesting to see the market reaction. I believe that will be an important before and after in the market, depending on what's especially in the US. But I don't know if you guys would want to add anything. I think we're just excited about the launch of Polimec. Let's see how long we have to wait, but I'm excited to participate in this type of platform, because I haven't seen anything similar on this curation process. I think it's the most important thing to highlight in Polimec.
Yeah, I mean, likewise, thanks very much. We're looking forward to having you participate also in Polimec. Participate. Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
No, yeah, I think we're really at a keystone now, like a key milestone where we're gonna hit very soon, where we get to, you know, excel in our journey to launch. And obviously, you mentioned ambassadors, and community in general is very important to us, because we believe that, you know, community will shape and decide where technology is headed. In our case, where Polkadot is headed, and you can see the involvement, the engagement very strongly. And you mentioned 24th October, right? You can really see people are discussing, they're interested, they care, and we care as well. And we want to really create a great experience for everyone. And we are ready to, you know, accelerate a lot of different steps in these ecosystems and a lot of growth. So we're hyped, we're super excited. And I think, yeah, for the rest, you'll need to wait. I don't know when this will be aired, but maybe when this will be aired, you'll know, you'll see. Should be fun.
Yeah, and I mean, my last thing that is, don't forget to get your Deloitte KYC credential. Really important.
Yeah, definitely. I will share a tutorial on how to do that on my channel. And no, congratulations, and excited for what's coming. I believe you have I have seen that you are building in the bear market, and I believe that all the fruits of that hard work will show very soon. So thanks.
Yeah, same to you.
Time.
Thanks, same to you for your support. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.